A lot of people who never take exotic drugs or would dream of attending a thing like this are perfectly aware of what a racket all this is and how it's just being used, how mafias and governments are basically in business together. You know, the governments repress it, that drives the price up. The mafias deal it and kick back to the governments for the favor of repressing it, and all the rest of us are supposedly not to know that this is going on. One of the oldest cons around. Well, my attitude, like media is a big issue, obviously, and my attitude toward all of that is the culture is toxic. Like, here's the thing, like probably Esalen is the place where the idea was born that there are healing images, that you can heal your body and your mind through the images that you hold in your head. But I've never heard a really intelligent discussion of the implication of that. If there are healing images, there are destroying images. There are sickening images, there are toxic images, and you can bet which are being purveyed in the mass culture, because the purpose of capitalism is to imprint its products in your mind, and shock is an excellent way to do it. And the two areas where as a primate you can be gotten at most quickly is in the area of sex and violence. And so these themes, for commercial purposes, are just played like crazy. So my response to all of this is to say it's a meme war, is what it is. It's a struggle over how shall the world be seen and felt. And as long as you're just consuming the memes coming down through the toxic distribution system, you're a victim and a mark. And so what we have to do is produce, send stuff up the wire. And that's why I think the web is so fascinating. And as I said, I think of it as a 60 million channel TV. And so whatever your bent is, you should put your message out there. And we should all produce as much art as possible. I mean, I think the leisure and the indulgence that is permitted us, the super rich of this world, and we all are in that class, the upper 5% of the Earth's population, you can't live with yourself unless you give something back. And the thing to give back is share your art, share your soul. The reason we are so controlled and abused and misused by our institutions is because we are divided from each other. You know, they have divided us by race, by class, by sex, by political style, all of these ways, when in fact, you know, it's in everybody's interest to have a future, to build a world where children can be raised with some reasonable expectation that humanity will be preserved. So these mass media things, radio, television, and newspapers that have arisen in the last couple of 100 years, this is where a very small group of people literally set the agenda for millions and millions of people. It's called top-down or one-to-many communication. What the web holds out is this thing called any-to-any communication. You and I can form a secret society. We can form a secret society of 10 people. I can send email to 10,000 people if I want. The playing field has been tremendously level. And then the quality of what we produce can tip the balance still further. So I think, and the tools that are put in our hands now, Director, Photoshop, all of these things make it possible to communicate outside of these print-created monolithic institutions. We can't really even imagine a world like that. There hasn't been a world like that since late Roman times. I mean, the Roman hegemony was quite cohesive, but if you were living in a village in Armenia ruled by the Roman procurator, it wasn't touching you very heavily. And I think what people, the idea of the citizen is arguably toxic. The idea that we all are participating in some enormous politics works against individualism. I mean, if you tried to nail me to my politics, people can't figure out whether I'm a right-winger, a left-winger, or what I am. I'll tell you straight out, I'm an anarchist. I am an absolute anarchist. I mean, I believe in people more than abstractions or institutions. I will always rely on people. To a level perhaps uncomfortable for you. I remember back in the 60s, my line was, if you come upon a mob, you must join, because the people understand far more than you do about what is going on. And that kind of radical commitment to freedom is going to be necessary to dismantle these very, very rigid power structures that are, being shoved down everybody's throat. And so the new culture, I think, is a dispersed virtual culture on the internet that is not product-oriented. It's aesthetics should rule the world, and the best ideas should win. But we all have to stop being consumers. We have to redefine really who we are. It's a much more courageous role. I'm about 18 months ago, I moved to Hawaii, and I've lived in Hawaii off and on many times. It was not unfamiliar to me. But living off the grid, but with the net, but 10 seconds away from climaxed Hawaiian rainforest, so I can always push back from my desk and just take a walk in the woods. I realized, I think this is how people are supposed to live, dispersed over the surface of the earth, very little moving around. Vehicular travel is less and less defensible. Off-grid, solar electric, information-based, and virtual community that no one can track or criticize because it's all going on the grid. I think if you're smart, you should buy real estate in extremely remote areas, because soon there will be no remote areas from the point of view of the net. And just a very different kind of world is coming into being. It's not a good time for organization, for massive hierarchical structures that depend on managerial control, and they know it. It's interesting that corporations, don't seek to grow to the size of nations because it's highly inefficient. No corporation has a welfare class built into it. What corporation has a component inside itself that it sends out checks to every month for not working? Well, the executive class. That's the answer to that. You're not supposed to say that.